We're talking about tonight with foraging in the end times and the seeds of hope. I have with me my co-host Candy Nelson, my beautiful, beautiful friend that I love so much, who is the perfect person to also be contributing and speaking on this exact title for tonight's podcast. So please, if you would, just join us, listen along, and if you have any thoughts or comments that you'd like to put down, please do. Definitely put your 2 cents worth in, because this is how we all learn and this is how we all grow. And in these times that we're living in, this is 100% necessary in all ways, shapes, and forms, to say the least. So, with that said, Candy, how are you tonight?
I'm okay. Tired, but I'm good.
Right. Yes, I heard that one. And again,
She's
we're coming on a Wednesday
last
night, so
minute. Yeah, and these last minute podcasts, it's like, oh, you want to do podcasts? I'm like, okay, sure, help me in.
well,
I'm in.
to be fair, I did text you 2 days ago, but yeah. Yeah, and I apologize. The last minute podcasts are not fun, and I they're not fun for me either. I'm just
Yeah, I'm
working
a
around
sucker.
my
I'm
job.
a sucker
I
for
did know
punishment. I'm
early,
like, but I get
but
excited just like anybody else. I'm like, I'm a sucker for punishment because I'm like, oh, podcast, yeah.
I literally I just know Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I will be Thursday, starting tomorrow morning at 3 a.m. And keeping in mind, I've been up since 3 a.m. I have to work a surveillance job, so this is my only moment, and I'm so glad that when I called you, because she didn't see her text, guys, and I don't blame her. I would love to throw my phone to the side, and I encourage all of you to throw your phones to the side and don't look at them and don't bother with them, because they are literally controlling our lives, to say the least. But she's always so kind. When I did call her on my way home after not hearing from her, I'm like, Candy, you want to do this tonight?
I'm like,
Because I got to
yeah.
work all
And
weekend.
how excited do I get? Yeah, I'll do it.
She's always so kind about it and so on board and committed, and it's got to tell you where her heart is. And by the way, it's not even like her heart's always in the right spot, but this woman has so many great things to contribute to the world in these times that we're living in, especially. And again, back to the title, foraging in the end times and distributing seeds of hope, so to speak.
And
So
that's why your text didn't get answered because I was out foraging all day.
there you go. That's what I'm talking about. Speaking of, this beautiful woman here had some mullein seeds, mullein, Mullein,
Yeah.
mullein
Yep.
seeds mailed to me. She was so kind to submit like a self-addressed envelope or post envelope with the stamp and everything. And to my surprise, I received these wonderful seeds
And I
with
forgot to tell
the
him.
mullein.
I forgot to tell her they were coming.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not. I mean, when I got my mail and I opened this, and it was a beautifully addressed envelope. I'm not. I mean, it was nicely done. I'm like, oh wow, I got a card or something. I'm like, nobody ever sends me anything but bills. So I'm opening it, and I pull out this little plastic baggie about that big, with like a brown substance in the bottom, and I'm like, oh dear golly, what kind of drugs is this? I mean, that's all I'm thinking is like, was this drugs? Like, I mean, I nothing else could like escape my mind. And then I looked at the sender, and then I'm a PI, guys. I'm a PI. That's what I do. So I look at the name, look at the address, look at the general location of the address. So I start doing a background check and search, and lo and behold, it's a kind gentleman that happens to have mullein growing everywhere around him. Like apparently so much so that he's like, I got plenty, I'll share the love. And Candy, being the sweetheart that she is, she's always thinking of everyone else. And she was already part of this gentleman's group. And she was kind enough to have these seeds sent to multiples of us. And I just was like, okay, so now I get it. But the second I saw the word mullein, and I was like, okay, that's Candy. That is my beautiful friend Candy that had these sent to me. So not drugs, Lisa. Don't do those. Nope, nope, no. So I've already got mine planted, by the way. They're sitting in my windowsill as little starter seeds. But with that said, let's explain to everyone, being the times that we're living in, and of course, maybe doctors won't be present here soon. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But I mean, even the monetary system we talked about last week could potentially fail, is going to fail. It's just a matter of when and not if. When we're left with having to heal our own bodies, heal our own souls, our own minds, self supply, so to speak. Let's go ahead, Candy, if you wouldn't mind explaining to these wonderful women and men, ladies and gentlemen of Facebook and YouTube as well, what the wonderful healing factors of mullein contribute towards, and what they do, and how they affect our bodies, and the benefits that come from the seeds and the plant itself, if you wouldn't mind.
Well, I'm still learning myself, to be honest with you. So, I mean, but I can tell you this. When I found out about this mullein, I was like, oh man, it's like this stuff is pretty amazing. So, but actually it helps to repair your lungs. And it's for respiratory conditions. You can smoke it. You want to use the dry mullein to roll up and smoke, and that's the fastest way to get it to your lungs to help start clearing your lungs out and healing them. You can also make teas out of it. You can make mullein tea. I've made mullein salve out of it. So I've actually made the salve and just rub it on my chest and my lungs. What is the other thing? So you can make tea, you can smoke it, you can make the salve out of it. Oh, and then today, for the first time ever, I just made my very first tincture out of mullein, which I was out foraging for that today. And so I've never made tincture before, so this is my first ever batch, and I did it with mullein. And so I'm excited about that because I got a pretty nice sized jar. Probably got like a half a gallon sized jar brewing. So that's exciting. It'll be enough to last for a long time and share with a lot of people.
So, sorry, I won't leave you vulnerable again. So, I don't know if you'd like to explain, but tincture is something that I've recently myself learned about as well, and how, quite honestly, easy it is to make a tincture.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna. This is kind of your forte more so, but I mean, I found some really cool recipes with that. But would you like to explain how a tincture is made? Typically with, which could be anything aside of just mullein. And keep in mind, you guys, some of them out there, I'm sure some of you people are not aware of what mullein is. This is a wild plant that grows pretty much all over God's green earth. So, and I'll let you explain more about that too as well. But I think that we probably have a few, including myself at one time, honestly, Candy, until you actually informed me about that wild weed, which I saw everywhere all the time as well. But there are wonderful benefits in these wild plants, and especially that one. You want to explain to them how it grows, what it looks like, and I'll see if I can't pull a picture up of one. Again, we've done this before, but I'm going to go into cattails and everything else. There's so many things that we can be utilizing.
Yeah, and so with the mullein, they stand about 3-4 feet tall, but they have these little yellow flowers on them. And I just recently learned about the seeds through this gentleman that sent the seeds out to everybody. But actually, if you want to learn, the best way to do it is I joined a mullein group. That's where I've gotten a lot of my knowledge from about it, because I mean, I knew about mullein, but I just didn't know a whole lot. So, I joined a Facebook group regarding mullein, and there was a gentleman in there that acquired a bunch of seeds, and he came out and told people, send me a self-addressed stamped envelope and I'll send you the seeds for free. So I got an envelope and addressed it to him, and I put an envelope in there for myself and Lisa, my other friend Elena, and my other friend Paul. So there was like 4 self-addressed stamped envelopes inside the envelope that I sent him. And so he sent all of us seeds. I just got mine today. So Everybody else got theirs, and I didn't get mine till today. But
I know, I
I'm
felt bad because mine came, what, 3 or 4 days ago?
yeah. So well,
And it
anyway, I mean, I'm
was like,
still learning about it, but from what I understand, that once they dry out, the way you get the seeds is once it's completely dried out, you take and you get a bag and you put the stalk inside the bag and you shake it, and the seeds just fall in the bag. So you don't actually transplant it. You get the seeds by just shaking the plant inside of a bag, and they all fall out. So, so that's how you get the seeds. Which when I went today, I'm like, when the first time I went and I found the patch that I was going to, oh my gosh, the plants were everywhere. I had no idea what I was even doing. So of course I did pull a few up by the roots, and you have to get the tap root. And I tried to bring them home and transplant them. Well, it doesn't work that way. Okay. You don't do that. So that didn't work, but I tried. And I did get the leaves. I did make some salve out of it at the time. And the only thing I did with them was I took the leaves and I washed them up really good and dried them real well. And I put them in a coffee pot where I brew all my stuff and put some coconut oil in there. And I let them cook for a couple of days. Well, after a couple of days, I tore them up and so that they could get the um, potency out of them. And I strained it off and put some beeswax in there and thickened it up, made some salve, and that's the mullein right there. But
yeah, and everyone's seen these surely just growing wild everywhere, even if it's on the side of the road
well, it's
or
funny.
wherever.
Tell you a funny story. I was looking for this mullein everywhere. Well, I was going out of town with one of my pool league mates, and she had me take this way I'd never been before. And so we were going this back road that I had never been. And as I'm driving down through there, I was like, oh my gosh, look at this. That mullein is everywhere. So
Crazy. It
it's
does grow everywhere. It's crazy,
Mhm.
crazy.
Well, no, like I said, I looked for it for about 2 years. I couldn't find it. And I just happened to be with that friend that day, and
Yeah,
I was
and then
driving.
you like immediately you let me know, and I was like, "How in the heck? This woman has the best luck in the world as far as finding things at the right moment and right time."
So that was pretty amazing on that. But anyway, so now I know where it grows. But I went today, and I don't know about when the plants come out. And from what I understand, like the first year plant does a certain thing, and but then the second year plant does a different thing. So I don't know all the details on it yet. I'm still learning, but it's a process, and that's why I'm trying to learn now, because later on, if I don't have the internet or I don't have the ability to access information, I'll already have this knowledge banked. So
Right?
it's important that we try to educate ourselves now while we have the resources to do it, because those resources may not be available in 5 years. So, or even
You
2 years
betcha.
or next year.
And I mean, if you guys are anything like us, I'd start writing down, printing off, because again, when the grid goes, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. When the monetary system fails us, again, everything electric, everything that takes any type of energy resource is gone. That means your newer vehicles, that means pretty much everything. No cell phones, no transactions via cash register, no swiping this or swiping that or swiping. Um, it means when it's gone, it's gone. So with that said, I mean, like we're talking about, if you're familiar with an atlas, get your general directions down. Get your the whole concept of where your family meetup place will be. What are you going to do in that time when that comes and happens? And again, not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. We all have a duty to ourselves and our families to prepare. And again, Candy will explain to you very much what prepping is. It's preparing, and it's not rocket science, guys. There are so many things that we could be doing Two,
And another thing too, prepping is not necessarily prepping physical things. It's prepping knowledge. Knowledge is power.
100%.
When you have nothing to barter with, you better know what you're talking about, okay? Because at
I don't
least
know.
if you share knowledge, you can get something to eat.
Right?
Just
Exactly
saying.
that. So I'm trying to figure out why my face is huge right now on the screen because that's not what I'm looking for here. Um, wow, that's pretty awesome. All right, guys, there we go. So that's just it. I mean, yeah, we're in some times where many of you would call it the end times. I myself call it the end times. To me, it's very clear and obvious. Everything that was written scripturally and prophetically in biblical terms or layman's terms or cuneiform or cuneiform tablets, however you prefer to say that, are ancient tablets and scrolls that were left and found for us to read upon our own entry into this world, have conveyed what we're looking for, what's going to take place, what will happen. Whether it be, the scripture, there'll be signs in the sun, the moon, and the stars, and on earth, perplexity upon nations, and all the things that are coming upon the world. Nation will rise against nation, father against son, mother against daughter, blah, blah, blah. You guys know, you get the picture, you know what they say. As well as, there will be wars and rumors of wars. And as much as I hate to say that, it's not a surprise. And of course, your news is going to hype a lot of things up. Don't forget that. The news is always going to hype some things up. But I mean, we should be hyped up in that respect for that and towards that, because these times are occurring. They are taking place. We are, sorry, apparently I have bugs flying at me, or maybe they flew from me. I don't know. I did take a bath, I promise. But I mean, it's not even a question of if it's going to happen. We are looking at the times the Euphrates River has indeed almost dried up. And I haven't actually looked lately. It might be completely dried up at this point. I mean, we had the red heifer delivered to Israel. Plain as day stated all these signs, earthquakes and famines and wars and rumors of wars. Every one of these are occurring. And I know many will say, well, that's because now we have the technology and everyone's capable of capturing these things a lot more than we had then. So it's really no more and no less. It's about the same amount. But I'm going to call your bluff right now. It is not. We've never had these type of weather phenomenons and occurrences that we are seeing now and in this time. So I'm going to plead with you with all my heart and tell you this is coming from the depths of my heart on a godly, wholesome level. When we are trying to help you and show you the things that can help you prepare for these times, we mean this. It's from a wholesome place. And if you don't listen, don't say we didn't tell you so. But I mean, we don't even want to see that happen. What we want to see is the world prepared for what lays ahead. And some of you might say, well, you're instilling fear and fear this and fear that. Get over it. You're way too old to be saying that, by the way. I mean, fear should be above and beyond your mental capacity there. You already knew that you came into this world, you were born into the world, and you knew from that moment that you were going to also leave this world. There was not a promised ticket for 100% forever life here on earth. What you had was a promise of eternal life given two choices. And I think you all know what those are. And I'm not preaching at you. I'm stating the facts, man. I'm just stating the facts. But I mean, again, get over the fear. There's nothing to fear, only good things to come. But there are things we can do to make that time when all of this happens and these things go down, and they will go down. There are things that we can do to prepare ourselves, preppers, prep, foraging in the end times. It's here. This is the best time to do it. There are ways to siphon water out of maple trees, out of coconut trees. There are water sources. Say you have no way to get water, or you think you don't, but there are so many things you can do. You can take dirty water and do a filtration system, whether it be through cloth, not always the best thing, or just, layers upon layers of leaves and
Pantyhose,
dirt just to
pantyhose.
filter. Make your own filtration system.
Yep, pantyhose.
Pantyhose, pantyhose, pantyhose. We got legs for so many reasons, guys. I mean,
And,
there's so
and
many things you can do.
Lisa was talking about the bugs coming after her just a minute ago. First thing that
Yeah.
popped in my mind, beautyberry leaves are insect repellent. So,
Yeah,
you
she
can
sent
take
me
the
some of
leaf.
that, by the way, guys. And I'll tell you what, she made the best beautyberry salve because this last summer, not obviously we're not in this summer yet, but I was using that candy when I was outside gardening all summer last summer. That stuff works. I mean, it was keeping the insects repelled. So there you go. Another thing right there. Candy's little bit of wisdom there. She's got much of it, but that one right there, another thing to jot down, take notes. Beautyberry. And I didn't even know what beautyberry was. I mean, that was a first for me. Now I've always known you can eat cattails, you can stew cattails. Like there's no portion of a cattail that you cannot eat, drink, or consume on some level that will help you survive. And jot that down too, guys. Kind of important because cattails always grow near water and pretty much in every bit of this continental US. So, but what is a beautyberry, if you wouldn't mind explaining to hi
Well,
Sam,
yep,
Kim.
you have to find the picture of it, but beautyberries,
I'll pull that up.
basically, they grow on a stem, and they're like clusters of little purple berries on the stem, and they ball. It's like a ball of little tiny balls of berries that cluster up, and there's several of them on the stem. And a lot of people make jellies and jams out of the berries. So I have a friend that makes the jelly, and I get the leaves. So when we go foraging for that, she gets the berries, I get the leaves. She makes the jam, I make the insect repellent, and then we just switch it back and forth with each other. So
Perfect.
yeah, so it works out because she's got her skills, I got mine. So but
Yeah, and that's not where that's the whole thing. We should all it's the skill, it's the trade, it's the sharing, it's the know-how. Um, these are the things we all need to share with each other. Again, I'm going to say it again. If you're in the comment section or even later, even after this live podcast, if you have the capability, please leave a comment in either the live comment section or the post live show. Leave your comments with recipes that you might be familiar with, or things that for survival. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know how to make fire out of sticks and stones and break my bones kind of thing. These things need to be known, they need to be shared. It's important. And again, I cannot stress this enough. We are living in those times where it just is what it is. There's and just say you don't believe, but just go ahead and go with the what if. Well, what if it, if just what if, it maybe if it happens, why not know this? It's good things to know irregardless, right? I mean, we've had plenty of people discover that sometimes being broke is no fun, especially, during the pan-frying-demic, per se. I mean, grocery stores were out of so many things. So many things. I mean, it's a no-brainer. So it's never going to hurt you to be fully aware of how to know how to do these things, and any recipes of survival, like how to live off the land, or how to make a tincture, or how to make a paste or a salve, or some sort of a medicinal healing type agent that can benefit us. Sorry, guys, I'm still trying to share the entire screen here, and I did so earlier, but it's not making my
well,
life.
back to the cattails. Cattail juice from the leaves of a cattail. You pull the cattail leaf back, and there's a gel in there. It's a numbing agent. You can put it on you topically. You can put it on a toothache.
Yeah.
You can put it on any spot on you, and it will numb. I
Yeah.
had a morgellons issue that I had right here for over 20 years. I couldn't even touch my face without my whole body shaking. And I'd heard about the cattails. I pulled over there, went up, got me some of that juice, put it on that thing, and it has not come back since. And that's been years ago. And I
See, and that's
tried
the glory of
everything
cattails.
else.
There's so many things you can do with that, right?
And I tried so many other topicals, prescriptions, my home remedies, everything to try to get that thing to go away. It was a fiber that was like subdermal, and I just could never get it to come out. And it
Yeah.
hurt every time I touched it.
See,
And I did that.
my grandma was a very good and gracious forager. She and Sam even just said it, which was funny. He beat me to the punch. But
Yeah.
dandelions have a lot of the same benefits, and especially you can eat. I mean, we had dandelions in every salad I ever had growing up. As strange as that sounds, I mean, my grandma was big on. She'd pluck those dandelions from the yard. She'd eat one and feed me one, vice versa. Um, just so much. And Sam also mentioned 8 drops of Clorox to water and wait 30 minutes, and it's good to drink. True story. So things like
Another
this.
thing too, like salt water from the ocean. What you can do is, if you don't have access to water, fresh water to drink, you can't drink that. But take some salt water from the ocean, you put it in a pot, you put something in the middle and put a piece of plastic over it, and then put a bigger pot on the outside, and you set it in the sun. The water evaporates,
Yep.
and the sand stays in the bottom. The water, it hits the plastic as it evaporates. As it rolls down, good water rolls into the outside container, and you can drink it.
Exactly. And I mean, you guys have watched Castaway or anything else like that, right? And I lived on an ocean. My dad built a 60-foot sailboat sailboat when I was a child, and we lived on the ocean. He'd never sailed a day in his life. This is a whole nother story, but point being is, don't think it didn't cross my mind many times, like especially when we were in 30-foot seas at one time, and I thought the boat was going to capsize, and it may as well have, because everyone was puking. We were hitting the walls with every huge wave rolling in the storm, so to speak. But I mean, these are things that you think of, like, how could I survive if, say, it were to capsize, or say you got, on a dinghy, which dinghy being a small craft that usually is attached to a boat or can inflatable that can be used as a lifeboat. What she just said with capturing, salt water. There are ways to survive. The problem is people, and I don't know if any of you are familiar with the 411, where all of these people are disappearing in the national parks, literally worldwide. And yep, it's a conspiracy, but ain't no theory. It's happening. It's real. You're not going to see it on your news. You're going to have to use your own eyes. You're going to have to use your own ears. You're going to have to look. But people are disappearing. These things are happening. They can happen. What are you going to do if it's you? How are you going to survive if it's you? And beyond that, we're not even at that point anymore where, like, we don't have time to get lost or be in a dinghy out at sea. We're at a point now where we're looking at World War Uno Dos Tres. And again, not a fear mongrel, not trying to instill that fear into anyone. And if I did so, here's me saying politely, grow up. You're too old for that. You're too big for that to be afeared or scared. I mean, get over it. It's time to put your big girls and boy panties on, pull them way up, put them over your ears if you have to, like suspenders, and pull them out real big, and let's plop them back and be ready. I mean, that's how it is, guys. You
Hey,
gotta be
and
ready. We don't have
Sam
time
said
for fear.
aloe vera is great for burns. Sam, this is a true story. Years ago, my husband had
100%. I still have aloe vera plants in my
my
house.
husband my husband had an acid condition so bad that the inside of his mouth and his throat was blistered. They had him on medication, prescription medication. It wasn't doing anything. This old guy told him, he said, take you some aloe vera, shave off the pointed sides, the edges,
That's all
throw
I
it
ever
in a
used
blender,
growing up. So,
throw it
yeah.
in a blender, blend it up, throw you some ice cream in there, and drink it. He did that one
Internally,
time.
externally, yep.
That's been 30 years ago. It's never returned.
I mean,
And that
that
was
this is
from
your
drinking.
natural, no GMOs, guys. Well, I mean, nothing is organic anymore per se, but genetically modified organisms, not so much. and you can have a choice in that matter. Maybe not, necessarily organic or non-organic, because again, this stuff's coming from your sky. What's coming from your sky is hitting your land. If it hits your land, it's affecting your water sources. It's affecting your grain, your wheat, anything that's growing within that land. Not to mention on top of the fur coats or the people human skin or whatever. It's the point being told, our cattle consume that water and that grain. Our swine do the same. Any animal, any vegetation that you grow comes from the soil, which again has rained down and affected that. And I don't even want to hear any of you out there saying there's a contrail. I'm super sick of it. Just look up once in a while, even just once. Actually, you don't even have to do it once in a while. Just look up once and tell me, when on God's green earth have you ever seen cloudage making straight lines, right angles, tic-tac-toe, three in a row, X's and O's, and by the way, artist trails, evaporate. That is your collision of warm air and cold air, and it is a no-brainer that they should be gone, and pretty much like that, okay? If they're wondering and they're saying, pull your heads out of your boo holes, please.
Did you see that? Did you see that thing I shared on Facebook the other day? I found it on somebody's wall. There was like all kinds of trails in the sky. There was all kind of trails in the sky, right? And this person pointing up to him, he's like, "See that? Those are cow farts."
I mean, that's what people must be thinking. That's funny, actually. But I mean, I'm just seriously having to wonder. And you guys, I mean this, and it's coming from a good place. But many of you laugh and you point at us, and they're like, "Oh, you're wearing a tinfoil hat." Well, that wouldn't hurt either, by the way. Elena Kyle could tell you about that, and so could I. But I mean, here's the deal, Bill. You guys have been conditioned to believe this is this and that is that and there, and more truth comes from a cat in the hat, okay? That's a true story. Conditioning is exactly how you win a country over, but also how you win a world over. And when did you guys, any of us, forget to use our eyes and our ears? Eyes to see, ears to hear. And you cannot tell me that when you walk outside and you're seeing a halo around the moon or the sun, or eclipse after eclipse after eclipse after eclipse after solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, and more eclipses. And by the way, take your little Sony Handycam and zoom in once in a while and tell me what you see. I mean, are you guys doing that? Is anyone doing that? Probably not. But I mean, in our natural born history in the past, did we have eclipse after eclipse after? No. Did we have cloudage that looked like what it looks like now? No. But, well, there's a lot of air traffic up there, and they're just flying this way and that way, and that's how the X's are. Yep, and I would totally 100% agree if it were not for the fact that, well, science for the first time comes into play here. Condensation, guys, it evaporates. Plain as day, it evaporates. It's a collision of cold and warm air, and it doesn't linger and stay around for decades on end, by the way. So next time you see those and you're like, oh, it's a contrail, I'm going to tell you, pull your little turkey heads out, look back up, wait 15, 20 minutes, wait an hour, wait 2. That cloud is just still going to be there. And I had a whole family laugh at me, not listen, and could care less, but they're starting to see that maybe Lisa wasn't lying. Maybe Lisa wasn't playing around. Maybe Lisa's eyes were open, and Lord, I didn't ask for this, by the way. I did not ask for this. It just happened one day. It happened in my grief at the depths of my despair and the worst of my times when the whole world had abandoned me, and God said, get up, child. I got plans for you. I'm going to show you some things, and you got to make them see too. And I didn't ask for this. Candy didn't ask for this. Truth be told, none of us asked for this. And there's so many of us here. And you can look at the comment section right here, right now. And anyone you see commenting are people, individuals just like Candy and myself that are wide awake, no longer sleeping, and here trying to give you a testimony of truth in your reality of what's actually taking place in your world while you were sleeping and are. I don't know any other way to say it. Candy, I hope you didn't pass out. And I don't think she did, but I mean, y'all, we don't have time to play around anymore. None. We're out of that kind of time. Right now, we're at a point where how are you going to make it? How are you going to survive? And aside of the survival gear and the foraging and the ways to do that, and there's plenty of those, by the way, how are you going to get your soul right? What are you doing right now? What am I doing? What are we doing to get our souls prepped? Soul prepping is probably the first and foremost thing we should all be doing. Well, it's not even a probably. It is, and it's like I do not question if there's a heaven or a hell anymore, if there's a God or if there isn't a God. I've looked Satan right in the face. You guys could laugh if you want. Go ahead. I don't care. I'm telling you exactly like it is. Satan is the ruler and the leader and the principalities of evil here on earth. He's always been here. He ain't leaving. The UFOs that your government's finally coming around to say, oh, by golly, well, yeah, there are. And it's an agenda, by the way. It is an agenda. It's a planned agenda. They're not. Those are your fallen ones. Those are the ones that fell from heaven. Those are the ones that were cast out. And there are so many other things here on earth coming from those same beings that would blow your mind. And I already know many of you are seeing them. Many of you know it. Many of you are well aware that there's something going on that's not right. And most of you are still sleeping, without a doubt. I'm not here to wake you. I'm here to be here for you when you do wake. Candy, the same. We're here for you. We love you. And those of you that are awake, we are a band of brothers and sisters, and we're a barrier and a force to not be messed with. I can tell you that much. Right, Candy?
Yep. So I had to go to the bathroom, and I was like, okay, she ain't shutting up enough for this bladder to like, I couldn't hold it out. It's okay. I got a 61-year-old bladder, 4 children later.
Touche. 4 children later, and mine started early, but yeah. Yeah, kind of that, guys, though. But yeah. So with that said, I won't talk any more ears off tonight. I have to get up at 3 again, and I've had very little sleep as it is. And Candy was kind enough to leave George watching his movie to come do this. And I know how important husband and wife time is. I used to have that, don't anymore. That's okay. I just work. And I do this. So I thank you, though, Candy, for taking the time, and thank you guys.
Absolutely. I mean, I love doing this because I like sharing. I like the bonding time that we have with everybody. It's important.
It is important. I mean, like I was telling everyone, we're a band of brothers and sisters. We're a force to be reckoned with. I mean, you have no idea the strength you all have in each and every single one of you. And yep, sometimes it does take falling to the depths of your despair and being on your knees and being no longer capable of going any further down because life has knocked you down, whether it be due to your own choices or life's choices or nobody's choices. None of us are innocent. We all are equally guilty. We are equally sinful. We are equally corrupt and imperfect. But the thing is, when you recognize how you can turn your imperfection into a great and glorious weapon, so to speak, it's very empowering. It's empowering, and just knowing that human growth is like, it's an amazing feeling, because it's not like you're growing in the skin and you're growing in the flesh. You're growing in the soul, and you're growing in the know-how and the wisdom and how to survive come hell or high water here on earth or elsewhere. You guys
and
know
I want to make mention of one more weed that y'all need to research: wild lettuce. Check that one out.
Yeah, my grandma, again, the salads. Yes, wild lettuce is absolute. That's a good one, Candy. I'm glad you remembered that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any others, you guys, that you'd like to add? I mean, I actually have a ton, but I'm drawing a blank and probably exhaustion and.
Oh, and camphor. If you have access to a camphor tree, take the berries and the leaves and the stems. You could throw them in a pot, put some water on the stove, and guess what? You can defumigate your house of bugs.
I did not know that. That makes sense though. See, guys, or menthol, mint leaves, just even chewing mint leaves, good for your digestive health, your breath, your so many things that the Lord
Yeah.
has already supplied us with. He put here just for that. I mean, you want to talk about a precise perfection of need and thrive, the I guess the will to thrive and the reason to thrive and all the needs to make you thrive. He put it all here, kind of like that intricate body frame that you have with all of these wonderful, amazing organs that with all these the blood flowing through your veins and the heart pumping that blood and every organ intricately working together to make you this whole human being.
Oh,
That
okay.
is right there, a creator plan. Like that can't be like that. We didn't come from a fart, guys. You can't fart that kind of perfection out. You just can't. Or the leaves or the plants or you just
Hey,
can't fart the
one more
perfection
tip.
out, guys.
One more tip I want to share before we actually close up and everything. This is so important, guys. If you can't go out and forage, okay, or you don't know what you're looking for, go to the Mexican grocery stores, okay? You go in there, they have these little packs of herbs hanging on the wall.
I got so
And
many.
I'm like, oh my gosh. I went in there the other day. I found one I've never used before. I've heard about it, don't know nothing about it, but I bought it. I'm going to figure it out. Sour sap leaves. So I bought
Mimosa,
those.
I
You
got
got to
some
use them.
mimosa tree bark in. I got from the Mexican food out the whole things of cinnamon, the cinnamon sticks.
Yeah.
I was looking,
They have,
and there's so
they have
much you can do
mullein.
with just
They have
that.
mullein. They have mullein packs in there. They have eucalyptus leaves. They have sour sap.
Yes.
They also have the epizote, which epizote grows wild all over my neighborhood. I mean, there's like a ton of
I
it,
don't
but
know what it looks like. I don't think.
yeah,
I have to look that
episode.
one up.
I learned about that because it kept growing up my driveway and it was like screaming at me to eat it. So I did, and I'm like, what the heck
Well, that
is
was like
that?
clovers that always grew wild for me everywhere I went. A lot like my family. Part of my family's from Alaska. The other part New Mexico.
Episode, episode is a anti-parasitic. It is also an acid reducer. You can put it in your dog's food or your cat's food, and it kills intestinal worms, heartworms. It also
So
will do
imagine
that.
what it does for us, especially with the GMOs in
You
us.
put it in spicy foods like spaghetti and lasagna and things like that to reduce the acid
And then
content.
thyme is like an antimicrobial, right? I
Yeah,
understand you
yeah.
boil thyme and
Mhm.
same benefit. You drink it or make a tincture out of thyme.
Well,
Tea.
again, again, the Mexican grocery stores. I mean, I got little packs of mullein that I'm plan on putting in care packages for people, but it's like $1.22 for a pack of a quarter of an ounce, and I'm like,
That's
hey.
awesome. And she's the girl, guys. She can find the deals. Let me tell you for sure. And I think Sam Walker, he said pote, but I think he means hot, possibly. And I will say that I know that there's benefits to hemp or from hemp or
No,
Merida,
I've heard
Merida
of poke
J.
salad.
I am not against it. I personally, it doesn't do me well.
I've heard of
I was
poke
young when I
salad
tried
before,
it, but it's
Lisa.
not good for me. But hemp and what was the well, I guess it's hemp, like right? It's in the lotions and stuff. That's great for the skin.
Mhm.
Is that what I'm thinking of? You guys know what I should know. I have a daughter that actually works on a grow farm in Oregon for medicinal reasons and purposes. And so I certainly would never be one to sit here and judge anyone. Again, I've never heard of anyone killing somebody else, taking that or doing that or whatever they're doing. But alcohol kills, but it makes great tinctures, guys. So
No,
like I
Sam,
said,
I've
good
heard
or
of poke
wood.
salad. I've heard of poke salad before, Lisa, so that's not what he's
Oh
talking
no, I
about.
was
Poke
talking. He
salad is
said poke
different.
salad. Poke salad, I've heard of, but when he said POE, I wasn't
Uh,
sure if he meant pot. I mean, because I do typos all the time. So But long story short, that is a naturally growing plant put there. You know, it's everything's questionable. I like to try to, keep a clear mind. I think keep your mind is the most important thing in these days. If that's not doing that for you, probably maybe not the best thing, but maybe if it's how to clear mind. We're all chemically different, and especially in this day and time with so many have affected our bodies, my souls. What works for one may not work for another. We don't know. I mean, they have all sorts of Bexy sedations since birth, and don't think that I don't think for good dang reason, because why are you fixing something that wasn't broke to begin with? Get my drift. So I mean, this last little sew to the vid thing where we're wearing muzzles should be a prime example of what they've been doing since you came to be, where you could not enter a school age area, if you get my drift, without that little chart that said, I had this, and this, and now you can go to school. But if you didn't, you can't go to school. But yet she could go wander through the grocery store and mix and mingle with others that didn't. It's a no-brainer what they've done, what they're doing, because I mean, they sure as hell didn't think anything about our health then, right? Not at the grocery store. If you go to school for your conditioning lesson, your structural lesson to memorize, don't speak unless spoken to. Raise your hand. If I call upon you, you may speak. Do not put your hand down. And if you're Lisa Hicks, you're going to go to the damn corner, put your nose in it, have tears streaming down the chalkboard because you're asking too many dang questions. Truest story ever, guys. And if you're asking questions that are legit, like, well, who wrote the book? Well, how did they know? Well, how do you know that they knew that happened? Well, you're teaching me history. How do you know that? Or your archaeology and that ruin in Greece and this, and how do you know that's the age? And they don't like questions, guys. They do. Your educational system only goes to the higher educational structural systems. I'm sorry. I'm plenty of your teachers out there. I get it. I have a family full of them, including my own daughter. Myself also at one time. We didn't know this. Nobody told us this. We were just going through the motions and are passed down from generation to generation to generation. But I'm sorry, we never looked with our own eyes. We never thought with our own heads. We never decided what more sense. And you got to admit, a lot of things that they've taught us make a lot of sense. But it's simple.
You know what?
It's there.
I got thrown out of biology class when I was in high school because I refused to dissect a live frog. She was like, get out of my class.
Well, I mean, and there you go. That's just one more fine prime example. And I get that. We need simple mathematics. We need to know our colors. We do kind of need to know the English language or the Spanish language or whatever language you may be learning.
How is it okay?
But I'm telling you, like your historical aspects, we all know that the victors are the ones that decide history.
How is it okay for these kids to like get this frog on a canvas and pin him down by his little hands with push pins while he's still alive and dissect him?
So we never had to do that. We were alive, but I still wasn't very keen on doing that. Yeah.
I was the only one in the class that said, I am not doing that. She said, if you don't do that, you're going to get an F. I was like, I don't care. I'm not doing that. She's like, get out of my class.
I mean,
I got thrown out of class.
Everything, folks. We should not just take everything for face value, because your mountains, your buttes, your bluffs, and your make care what anyone says, your volcanoes, those are your ancient ones that reach to heaven in the book of Ezekiel, Daniel, Enoch. It's biblical scripture, plain as day.
Well,
there. You can clearly see it. Like, it's not present, and I've got a good video on my YouTube channel on that. I can prove it through and through all day long, hands down. Who's your teacher now? That they lied to you.
Well, I think back on that, and I'm like, oh my God, how many serial killers did she just create from physically pushing pins in a frog in his little hands so he can't move and cutting him open while he's still alive. I was just like,
One of
how
so
can anybody
many.
do that?
Well, I mean, or just think of how many people they created that felt defeated because they expected every single one of them to and grow on the same level. And if they weren't memorizing, by golly, the same things that they're supposed to memorize, not coming up with their own thoughts, but memorize, well, they're going to flunk. They're going back a grade or two. You know, defeat, defeat, defeat. What they have created in the human race is a species of defeat. You know, no
Oh,
success.
I often
And don't
wondered,
tell me
I was
I'm
like,
wrong, because you're wrong if you say that.
how many other of my classmates were actually thinking the same thing I was thinking, but they did it anyway to keep from getting an F? I'm like, I didn't
Exactly.
do it.
It's all about conforming. And I mean, look around, you know, which is why I probably have no friends here in Sealy, Texas, which is probably why my sister or my brother or my nieces and that nobody invites me over. They don't want me there. They go to weddings, they go here. That's probably why, because I am not a conformist. I'm not going to conform. And trust me, my heart isn't broken. Hurt sometimes because I love so much my family and my sister. Like, you have no idea. My family, I would lay down my life for them. They may not think so. They may not even actually think about it at all. I mean, sometimes I wonder. But the point is, I'm sorry. I'm not here to fit in. I'm not here to get along. I'm not here to, oh, well, you're thinking that way. Well, so was I. I'm not. And I'm not even trying to be confrontational. All I'm here to do is think with the mind God gave me, see with the eyes God instilled in me, and feel with the heart of whatever's left in most of us that's still left in me that I possibly can before it's all over. I'm not here to memorize. I don't want to memorize charts anymore. I don't want to memorize what it takes to fit in and conform to the crowd and what's going to get me like cast out. I've already done that. I was the girl in the corner. Remember, I was the one with the tears down the chalkboard because I was asking too many questions. Don't you see? Here I am. I'm a 50-year-old woman. I'm still in the corner and nobody wants to be my friend. But you know what else the Bible said? Kind of that. Kind of that. The Bible said that there will be so many that you will be cast out and away from. You'll be alone. And there is a very, very narrow doorway. And I'm not saying I'm good enough to enter. I know I'm not. I'm faulty through and through. I'm trying, guys. And the last thing I'm ever going to do is judge you, because I have seen the truth. I have seen the lies. And I know where I want to go and what I want to do and who I want to be, because it's the right way to be and the right mindset to be in. And I know most of you on here realize that and understand that. So if I have to be alone here in Podunk, Sealy, Texas, forever and a day, so be it. I'm okay with that.
Well,
Because my voice is still each other's.
you know what happened to me? She sent me to the dean's office, and the dean asked me what the problem was, and I told her, I didn't want to, dissect a live frog on a canvas like that. And she's like,
I threw
okay.
a fit about that dissection of frogs too, but it wasn't alive.
Well, she told me, she's like, well, you know what? She said, you can just report here every time you're supposed to be in her class. So I winded up learning how to operate a switchboard at the dean's office.
You learned a skill in retrospect. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I
And the
mean,
dean,
see, that's just what I'm saying. There are so many good teachers and faculty within the system, even in our medical system, which I myself do not trust at all, but with good reason, as many of you. But we know that there are people that are in touch with their heart. They're in touch with that God-loving, God-fearing side of themselves that speaks for them even before they speak. It's just like that knowing, that feeling, where before you even decided in your own head, your heart already decided for you. There's plenty of those people out there. They're all around us. And we're all, even myself as a private investigator or educators in their field, I know to this day I'm still in a field that's probably not on the up and up and not always looking out for the best, but I myself utilize that to turn things around and look out for the best, just like I do with process serves. I know someone's going to do the job either way. And most people aren't going to have compassion or love or empathy or sympathy. And they're certainly not going to try on those dang shoes that are worn and tattered that person had to walk in because, well, theirs are all spiffy and new, and they could care less. But
But
those are the people that lost their soul a long time ago because you just know it. It's just there. Either you got it or
yeah.
you don't.
So here's the funny part about that story, right? So not long after that, I wound up getting pregnant and I quit school. So I leave. I have my daughter, you know. So years go by. Years go by. She has a problem at school. And when she was in middle school, so I was pissed off. I go to the principal of the school, set up an appointment. I go to the principal of the school because of the problem that my daughter was having. Come to find out, guess who the principal was? That dean of girls and she was like, I remember you. So even though all those years had gone by, I made an impact on her life because she remembered me even
That is
after high
all
school.
that matters. If you can reach one soul out of 5,000, 5 million, one is enough. Two
Yeah,
is
so
better. But there you go.
she
I
told
mean,
me,
it paid
she's like,
off.
she said, I remember you. She said, don't worry about it. She said, this problem will be taken care of.
See, right there, there's a blessing in itself. And again, we weren't sent here to conform or fit in. And my whole life has involved coloring outside the lines. And you can ask pretty much anyone I ever went to high school with, and I'm sure that I mean I've got probably thousands of them right on Facebook, couple on YouTube, and perfect strangers. But I mean, anyone that knows me knows that I've not been one that conforms. I obey the law and I abide by the rules because we kind of gotta. But sometimes, well, sometimes I don't, and it doesn't go unpunished in this world. But remember, our reward comes later. Our reward for good deeds and our reward for staying true to not only ourselves but to the Lord God Almighty, that comes later, and it's promised and it's eternal. And so anyone here in this little town that doesn't like me, and trust me, I sit every single weekend, if I am home, alone, every single weekday alone. I can look next door and watch my nephew and hear my brother-in-law's voice quite loudly and clearly, and they're all cutting up and having fun. And part of me is like, man, I just wish, I could be part of that or included. Trust me, I get very bored. I'm just looking at the sky that's pretty normal to me now, even though it's bizarre. And part of me wants to be loved in this world and fit in and be included. And the other part of me wants absolutely nothing to do with it. And when I ask myself, do I want to be dissecting the frog in Candy's class? Or do I want to be in the principal's office learning the switchboard? I mean, hello, hands down. I'm gonna be the one that has growth in a way that growth wasn't shown to be growth, so to
But
speak.
the point is I had no idea that she was going to put me in there every day on that period. I was supposed to be
I
in
mean,
biology and teach
she
me how
listened
to
with
do
her
the
heart.
switchboard.
That's what I'm saying. There are people that they're all around us. There's plenty of them, and just some are out of touch with their hearts. But there's a voice in. Sorry, another bug apparently. There's a voice in every single one of our hearts. It's a voice that speaks silently, but it's clear and it's loud, and you don't need ears to hear it. It's that feeling, that drive, that if somebody hurts you and you have that sorrow and that grief and tears flow down your face, or when you're just so in love when you hold your first newborn child and you're looking down and you're thinking, I cannot imagine loving anything more than this, and then along comes a second or the third, or in my case, the fourth, and those same feelings of emotion, that deep in depth love, and that comes from God. That's the person you need to be in touch with. That's because that's what God created you His word, the living word, runs through your very and every living vein and in your body. And he is you and part of you, and you are him, and you belong to him. But if you don't remember those feelings that keep you close to him, you lose yourself. And I look around and I see people losing themselves every day. And it's sad. It's really sad. So don't lose yourself, guys. Foraging is good, especially in the end times. Planting seeds of hope and love is even better, but staying true to you and yourselves is, well, God created you to be exactly who you are. So that speaks for itself right there.
I'm aching for a road trip to Texas. I just need a
I
hug.
would love that. I need a hug on top of that, but I need my friend Casey and
I've been trying to
anyone else
save
who
my
wants a
money.
road trip to Texas. Come on.
I've been trying to save my money, and I'm like, come on, I need to make some money. I've been trying to sell all this craft stuff, and nobody's buying it.
I'll tell you what, guys, she has the most amazing stuff. And I am not even trying to promote because, Candy's, she's such a humble person. She never tries to like get rich. She's so honest. She probably loses her butt on everything. But the thing is, I know you have some sites that you have. She's got these amazing soaps and healing agents. It's just stuff that she does that are priceless. And what do you have those listed on? Because I would love for the world to be able to
I don't have
partake.
them listed anywhere. I go on a dime, a song, a prayer in a moment. I don't have them listed nowhere.
That's how it's supposed to be. A wing and a prayer, as Bon Jovi always said.
Yeah.
But yeah. But I mean, I'm telling you, you guys, if you don't know Candy Nelson, go to our Facebook page. Start there. Look for Candy Nelson. And don't just try to friend her without saying who you are. You got to interact. You guys, you have to have your substance. You don't just be like, I'm going to friend her. I want some
I got
soap.
no room for dead weight on my wall. Okay, if you
Yeah,
ain't
I mean, we need
don't come there.
substance. The whole world needs substance. But I mean, literally, like this woman, she pours her heart and soul with so much love and care into her product. And she asks, like, literally, you can't, like, Walmart costs more than her stuff. And her stuff is hands down, there's no comparison, but it wouldn't hurt any of you to go that direction. In fact, you would be thankful and grateful that you did. And Candy, I am grateful every day. I have 3 bars of soap left. I still have the honey one, the honey bar of soap. I cannot still to this day bring myself to use it because when this woman melted the wax down and poured it back in to make the soap, it has memory. So the honeycomb shape with every single little hexagon that the beehive held within it that was melted and hot boiling wax poured back in and the honeycomb showed back up. That is like right there. If that doesn't show you how great God's perfect plan is and was from the beginning, and you didn't come from a fart, and neither did the bees or the birds, probably. I mean, sometimes I wish that wouldn't happen.
That was like the most amazing thing to me when I could look at those salves and I see that honeycomb shape in the salve,
It's
and
just
I'm like,
mind blowing. So that's the one soap I can't use, but I am down to have a cinnamon one left, and have what was the other one? I can't remember. Let's just put it this way. I had like over the years, like last few years, I've had several bars of soap. I'm down to 2, well, 3 if you count the honeycomb, but I cannot and will not. Hold on, I gotta show this. Just 1 second. Okay? So I keep it in this spare bathroom just because it's the coolest thing ever. So first of all, she put this little bee on it. Do you guys see that?
no,
Okay,
can't see it. Go over
so
some more.
I'm gonna turn this around. Do you guys see this nonsense? Like this is, you tell me God's not real, the creator's not real. This was boiled, melted to a rumbling boil. And look how the honeycomb shape just came back to be
All right,
exactly
confession,
as it was made.
confession, confession. Nope, you got it all wrong on that. Okay, the
What?
salve, the salve reconstitutes the honeycomb shape. That soap, that I got that shape from bubble wrap. Okay,
I thought you told me you said
that
you
was
poured it in
bubble
and it
wrap.
did that.
Yeah, bubble wrap is what I use to do the soap with. But the salve,
But you showed
will
me before that.
I showed you the salve.
Right. And it was still honeycomb shape.
The salve does that, but the soap does not. That's bubble wrap I used.
Well, you got me
Sorry.
good because I was
Sorry.
like, but you know what though? And by the way, oh my gosh, that
That's
smells so good.
confession.
But you know what? I was also told though that no matter what, the bee's wax still retains its memory.
Right?
So like I've always known that and I've been told that. So I literally thought,
All
oh my gosh, so good.
every single one of the salves that I make, it doesn't matter which essential oil I use or which ingredient, every single one of the salves with the coconut oil and the beeswax, you get that honeycomb
I mean, it
impression.
smells like a honeycomb, but
Crazy.
okay, so there was something you showed me though, and I just assumed this was it because, and I
Mm,
watched a whole video on it that the honeycomb retains its shape and form.
memory. It's memory, yes.
So I assumed that when you sent this, that was also retaining. Well, bubble
No,
wrap, guys,
I
it
cheated.
is
I
amazing.
cheated on that. Hold on, let me see
But
if I
I'll
have
tell you
one.
what, no matter what though, I mean, just the smell and the texture,
Hold
and
on,
again, I'm unwrapping it. I'm gonna
hold on. Let me see
actually
if I
use
have
it.
one.
I mean, it's soft. It's so like I can't even. It's like a lotion on your skin, and the
I'm
smell
looking
of
now.
it's
Let me see if I have
unbelievable. So, but yeah, I'm down to very few bars that Miss Candy
one.
has made, and it's the
Oh,
most
here we
amazing
go.
stuff. And you can't replace this stuff from Walmart. The price is not even
All right,
the
hold
price.
on a second. I think y'all can see this. Okay, this is one of the salves. I don't know if you can see it or not, but you can see the honeycomb. I can see it. I
Yes,
don't know if you guys
that's what I
can.
was talking. So I have one of the salves that has that still. So that's why I assumed the soap was too. Yes, you guys see that, right? It retained the shape.
Of the
It's
honeycomb.
just not
And
very clear on the TV as I'm looking at that, but
yeah, it's hard
so
to
that's
do.
what it was. So the salve retained it. That's why I assumed that this was the same thing. But it does. I can see it on the computer, but not the TV very well. Um, but it has memory.
Yeah.
Cellular structure has memory. Your water has memory, by the way. If you turn your faucet on full blast and it's just flowing out full blast and you go to drink that, that's angry water. 9 times out of 10, it's going to make you angry too. It's cellular structure. I mean, if you're disrupting the water, and again, water has memory. Go ahead, look it up. You want to fact check that? Go right ahead. As some of my family members say, but I mean, just stop it already and just use your head. But I mean, that is true. You can go ahead and look it up. It's true. Water retains memory. You put that faucet on full blast, you drink that water, it's angry water. More than likely, it's going to affect your own personality, your own feelings at that moment. You let that water run gently and softly out, put it into a pitcher, let it set, calm down, put it out in the moonlight. Well, I used to. I don't know that the moon's the moon anymore or whatever I thought it was then. It's not the same now. But I mean, if you put a magnet in a pitcher of water and let it sit overnight, the magnetized water, it has such a calming effect. Put in your refrigerator, pour you a glass and drink it and tell me it is not the best water you've ever had. I don't know how to explain it, but again, cellular structure has memory. It just does. Plain and simple. So you want to tear something apart and then eat it, it's probably not going to be very good for you. You want to keep something in its true form and cook it calmly and directly, not chop it and mash it and saute it and be in a Chinese restaurant where they're flipping it upside down and doing acrobats and then everyone goes home and has diarrhea later. I mean, I know that's the MSG. Point being is though, think about it. Kind of makes sense. It does. And I'm no science guru. I'm just God's child and waking at the same time. And sometimes it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that the rocket never needed science. Just saying.
And it never went to the moon either.
No, it did not, guys. There was no landing on the moon. I am sticking to that story. It's not. We
I'm
never
sorry,
landed.
that was
sorry.
just right there. I had to throw that one in there.
Oh no, I mean I'm gonna stick to my guns on that. I'm sorry. The moon landing was fake. We never went to. The moon is hollow. It did ring like a bell, for good reason. The moon is not exactly what we think. We may not be completely aware of what it actually is, but I assure you, we never went back. Hint, hint, hint. We never went back. We haven't been there since, and our rockets sure as heck haven't changed either. They're all the same shape.
Yeah.
1969 model. Yeah,
And,
but yet
and
our
I'm trying to figure out
how
how the White House called the moon when they can't even get a signal in your own neighborhood now, so.
I've got 5G according to my cell phone, but I can't keep reception to save my life. And my internet, we won't even go there. I'm surrounded by, 6 towers because while we all had the muzzles on the face and we all resided inside, everybody else went out there and put the 1,000 points of lights in the Illuminati card. And so cell phone towers everywhere. I am surrounded by directly 6. And I'm in the country, guys. But I cannot get reception to save my life. I cannot get Wi-Fi except for some guru country podunk kind of Wi-Fi that sometimes works, sometimes don't.
But
Same
they
with
can call. But they can call the moon in the 70s and see them quite clearly and hear them quite clearly.
Yeah. I mean, to me, question the narrative, guys. You should be questioning the narrative. And again, your victors are going to create your narrative, just specifically so. And I know it sounds so far-fetched, it's so out there because, yeah, you're right. 98.9% of the world believes it. Do you really have to be part of that? Do you really want to be part of that 98 or whatever the statistics may be? Because I don't know about you, but I'm still going to be in the girl in the corner, tears on the chalkboard or not. I'm still going to be that girl questioning the damn narrative because it's a freaking lie, and it's very obvious. And when you open your eyes and you be still and you know that He is God. When you do that, when you're still enough and you're broken enough, where you have no other place to go but up, let's talk. We'll talk then, because that's when you know. That's when you know that doorway is pretty dang narrow for a reason. And you just hope and you pray that you get through it, because it wasn't ever about like, oh, I believe. It was about, but is your heart there? It doesn't matter if you believe or not. Are you walking the walk? You living the life? You talking the talk? You just reading the scripture but not living it? Because it takes much more than that. And I, to this day, struggle with it, and I'm working on it. Imperfect. So I'm nobody to preach, but I am everybody to encourage and say, hey, let's go. Let's try this. Let's do it. Let's do the best we can. Let's get there, because it's real. It's real. Heaven's real. Hell's hot. And I literally have no protection when I go there. I'm going to burn for sure. So I don't want to go. I'm going to heaven. Heaven's a wonderful place. Heaven is a wonderful place filled with glory and grace. I want to see my Savior's face. Heaven is a wonderful place. I want to go there. Yeah, that was a Bible song when I used to go to the building that closed its doors and segregated itself and said, I'm this and you're that, and you can only come in if you're part of us. So, by the way, guys, we're all God's church. We are all the church of Christ. It doesn't take a building, no windows, no door to walk through. We're all one, and we're all brothers and sisters. And if you haven't figured that out yet, please hurry up, because I can't wait to hold you and hug you and have a friend or two, besides the ones that live so far away. But yeah, just saying. I'm saying it with every inch of my heart, though. And if any of you out there have known me all my life, You know I mean this. You know I'm not crazy. Nobody wakes up one day like, you know what, it's like Sunday. I think I'm going to be crazy today. I'm going to say I saw a UFO. Oh my goodness. I saw a big hairy Bigfoot. I saw this. I saw. Nobody wakes up like that. There are too many people singing the song and chant the chant and saying the same thing. There's no coincidence in that. That's called an awakening. It's called an awakening to reality. Unfortunately, that veil is thin. And unfortunately, some people do end up seeing into it. Guilty. I didn't want to, didn't ask for it, but I think God knows who can and who can't, who can handle it and who can't. And trust me, you don't want to see beyond this veil that He has sheltered you with. But what you do want to do is grow before we don't have any choice to grow anymore. Plain and simple, straight up and straight down. And I love you guys. I love you.
Love you
I
too.
love you, Candy. I'm going to close that out right there. And we're here for you. We're here for you. Candy, I can't wait for you to come see me, by the way.
I
Again.
know.
That was
I'm
the best
dying.
day ever.
It's like every time I put like an extra $5 in there or $10, I'm like, okay, come on.
I'm going to save for it too. So,
I've been
all right,
saving
guys.
them.
I'm telling you what, this woman is the very best, beautiful woman soul
Oh.
I've ever met. I'm
Thank you.
very blessed to know you, and I just love you guys, and I love you, Candy. You already know that. So yeah, with
and
that,
again, guys, start learning about the weeds, one weed at a time. Okay, just
foraging
start
any way you
learning.
can.
Please,
Yes.
just do it.
I'm telling you what, cactus. Hello, I'm going to throw that one in there. Cactus. You can tap water out of a cactus. You can eat cactus. Just had to throw one less thing in there. But write this down, guys. When your printer's gone, when your computer's gone, you're not going to have any way of recouping that. Write it down.
I found an old Rolodex at the thrift store, with a little index divider. So write the recipes on there and stick it in the Rolodex. And
that's
you
perfect.
can also use,
I mean, perfect.
well, you can use
a
a phone.
A little bit, but a Rolodex for sure. But
You can use
go back
a
to
phone
the
book.
basics. That's what we need. Back to the
Well, you
basics.
can use a phone book that has the little index dividers in it, alphabetical. So you can put your
That's a
recipes
great
in
idea.
there.
Well, you know how they get rid of those 2023 planners, like for
Right.
like a quarter or sometimes for free.
Yeah.
I thought about the other day, I'm like, I should just grab a few of those and just start. I mean, paper is paper, and they have dividers too. So
Yeah.
there's so many things you guys could be doing. So many things. Get some chickens, get some sheep, get some cattle. If you can't, get a bunny. I don't care. I mean, bunnies are just cute. I mean, probably could make a little mitten out of one, but I don't want to do that either. It's kind of like the frog. So you guys get the drift though, right? Just go back to the basics. Get your survival plan on a hard copy. Get your meeting place. Where's your family going to meet when this happens? It's not if, it's when. Where's everyone going to go? Where are you going to get your band of warriors? Where are they hooking up? Where are they meeting? Because again, it's going to happen. And if you don't have a plan in place, you don't have much. You might have a wing, but you don't have the prayer, so to speak. So
No, I always told my kids, you know what? Get on the railroad tracks. Nobody's going to be on the tracks, and the ones that are on the tracks,
real quick, TETS.
Yeah, the ones that are on the railroad tracks, they're trying to get the hell out of Dodge, just like you. Okay, so they're not.
One of my biggest bucket list things to just jump on a train that's moving and go way bye.
Well, I've even told them too. I was like, if you have to drive down the tracks, you're not going to be crammed up in traffic. There's not going to be people shooting at you. It's like you're getting the hell out of Dodge. So
yeah, I would probably avoid the tracks too. I'd avoid anything that has anything pertaining to any type of delivery.
Well, I mean, but again, you
over
can't
the river and through the woods to grandmother's house I go.
Yeah, but the railroad tracks are not going to have the same traffic as the roads.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah, no, they're definitely not. But I just know that there's going to be a militant effort involved as well.
Oh, I'm sure. But
and
still.
So I'm thinking, maybe like later on, yes. But I'm just thinking, lay low.
Well, but I
And
mean, I'm
remember,
just
you
saying.
can cover up with brush and shrubs, and you can dig a
But if
hole
you're
and
in, if
so
you're
many things.
in town, if you're in town and
Follow the
there's
tracks,
like
yes.
stuff going on, get the hell out. The only way you know
That's
how,
right.
which is not going to be on the roads because
Yeah.
everybody's going to be like jammed on the roads. You
Well,
see
see,
that
I know, like, my
anytime there's
youngest
an
daughter goes to
evacuation.
Texas City for
Well,
college.
anytime there's an
I've already mapped out
evacuation,
a way through the back way with no roads to get
right?
to her,
Yeah.
'cause that's how a mom thinks.
Well, like anytime there's like an evacuation, like a weather catastrophe or anything like that, what everybody's on the damn interstate. It's clogged up, people break down.
And the
Next thing you know, the
people are
traffic's
gonna think
backed
that
up.
way every time. They're not gonna know any different, but
Nope.
I'm gonna be thinking balloon. I'm just kidding, but I'm not really kidding. I'm gonna be thinking, how many drones can I buy that will lift my ass up and get me there? That's kind of, it's not too far fetched. Stranger things have happened, and I'm just the girl to try it out. So just saying.
Instead of, if you have to, straddle the damn road tracks and drive down it.
Absolutely. I mean, bicycles, in my own humble thought, bicycles I think would be a great investment. And not even if it's not traveling long distance, it's still an investment that it's not going to be electronically, affected because, like I said, when the grid goes, everything power wise, you just might as well just wipe that right off your list. But your legs work to pedal, and the bicycle goes fairly fast. I'm probably going to get on a Hot Wheels, maybe like find one that belongs to a little boy and see because it'll work. But you guys get the drift, though. I mean, there's so many things and so many ideas and concepts that you can and put into place, especially depending on the situation. The railroad tracks, 100% would probably be one of the better, like especially early on. Candy's right. The very best thing that you could do, follow the tracks, follow the yellow brick road. Um, don't meet the cowardly lion though, because you're going to see a few of those too. But
Well, like my kids' high
so much.
school, was like right beside the railroad tracks. I was like, if anything gets stupid, anything starts happening at the school, jump the damn fence, get to the railroad tracks, and follow them. I will meet you on the tracks.
That's right. And like I said, nobody wants to be in a situation where bam, it just happened. Nobody's prepared. Your kids are way far that way. You're this way, several states away, whatever. Get yourselves a plan. Write it down, map it out, mail it while you can to every single person that you love, that you want to be able to reconnect with, because again, no man knows the time or the day, but we all were given the signs to look for, and it's coming. I mean, it's not even a question anymore. You talk to anyone, I'd say 70% of the population feels it right here, and they just know it. Nobody had to give me any signs. I feel it right here, and I just know it. Our Lord is on his way, and he's going to be coming in a cloud with power and great glory, and every eye will see him. He said that. So, all right, guys. I'm going to get up at 3, so definitely signing out. Candy, thank you again for joining last minute. I love you for that. And again, I
And
would
more
have
than
done it
likely,
for
we
free,
will
but I
not be seeing y'all on Friday this week. No
yes.
Fridays.
And Wednesdays have been kind of working. And again, I apologize. I just won't miss a beat, but I never have a day off. I can't think of one day off I've ever even had. But I don't want a day off. I just want to be able to be here when I can. So again, bear with me. I'm doing the best I can, but this is the most important thing we could be doing. So that's why I don't want to miss it. So yeah, with that said, much love, many blessings. No, we're not
Good night,
crazy.
everybody.
Yes, we know what
Good
we're talking about.
night.
Love you guys. Bye. Love you,
Good
Candy.
night.